Welcome in. Here we are. That's a tap. CT with my man DJ in studio.
In studio, indeed. Good to see you, CT.
Yeah, likewise. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. If I sound a bit nasally, that's because I'm not feeling my 100%. But hey, I gotta be better for the weekend, right? I've got a big weekend coming up. So, Ben, big weekend, some big fights. UFC London. But the talk of the town was in the boxing world, eh?
Yes. Yeah, we are. Well, I got a chance to give a quick recap of KAMBOSOS' controversial win over Maxi Hughes, majority decision. We've both had a chance to rewatch it. You've had a chance to watch it. We will touch on it again later in the episode, so stay tuned. But we'll first start with the UFC London card. It was up and down. It got some controversy, the fact that it was kind of a lull throughout the fight, throughout the event, and the fact that the card wasn't as strong. We talked about it in the preview. What were your overall impressions?
Man, great main event. Main event delivered. I think in terms of card strength and sort of how the card performed, probably not the best we've seen in that O2 arena in the UK. Still a solid card, don't get me wrong, but comparing it to the previous few fights we've had in London, it comes nowhere close, man. I wouldn't say nowhere close, but obviously, definitely not as strong as those cards. Last one we had Leon Edwards fighting for defending his title, which is huge. And then prior to that, we had, obviously the Tom Aspinall main event, which ended unceremoniously, but still was an eventful card. We had that iconic card. For me, that was the best UK card, to be honest, if you ask me, at least post-COVID, which was that, again, it was a Tom Aspinall main event card, but there were so many, Paddy Pimblett was popular. It was coming up. Molly McCann had that crazy wild knockout. We had Arnold Allen finish Dan Hooker. There was so many bonuses handed out. So that for me was, a really good card. And look, having said that, man, the main event for me in this card, it was definitely, there was a lot of questions going into that main event. We know Tom Aspinall has been a big player in the heavyweight division, especially where the heavyweight division's at the moment. I think, there was a lot more questions on Tom Aspinall's shoulder, I guess. Hey, can he come back from an injury like that? Can he, stand with the top ranked guys? And man, he came in and he proved everyone wrong. That was a hell of a performance, complete shutout, quick, a quick fight. I think he averages 2 minutes and 19 fight time. So, that says a lot. Man, quite excited for Aspinall, and obviously what that means for that UFC heavyweight division. Especially we don't know what's going to happen with Jon Jones and Stipe once that fight's done, what they both will decide to do, depending on who wins, regardless, right? But now I'm more intrigued to see the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight. I'm intrigued, but I'm not saying by any means that he can dethrone Jon Jones. I'm not saying that, but I'm intrigued, right? Aspinall does some things that heavyweights are not. We're not accustomed to the way he moves. His fight IQ, right? And his ability and his well-roundedness. But he's also young, right? Let's not forget, we were saying similar things about Gane as well, Cyril Gane. He moves like a middleweight and all these kind of things, and we saw Jon Jones was able to negate it. Man, when you get into that cage with someone like Jon Jones, can you imagine that? You're inside the cage, you walk in, and then you wait. You're obviously going to wait for Jon Jones to come out. The anticipation, this is a guy you watched. This is the greatest of all time, and he's walking out. That's a pretty big moment, right? You're going to be like a deer caught in headlights, right? So there's always going to play a factor. But look, I'm intrigued to see that. But here's the part I'm more intrigued to see after this, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this. I know that he called out the winner of Spivak and Gane, and then using that as a potential route to go and fight the great Jon Jones. But I'm keen to see this Sergey Pavlovich fight, right? Pavlovich's been on a tear, but one can argue that he's earned his title shot. He's beaten Blades. But still, like, I mean, if he's going to wait in the wing till Jon Jones and Stipe have their business done, why not him and Aspinall fight, right? So yeah, man, like that's something that I'd be keen to see. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I agree.
Yeah,
maybe they're thinking he was choosing his call out carefully. The fact that Pavlovich might be unspokenly the next guy waiting for the winner of Jon Jones and Stipe, and that Tom Aspinall is going to face the Spivak Garn to then fight the winner of the winner of then Jones and Pavlovich, hypothetically. So maybe he's chosen his call out more carefully. Pavlovich has been on a tear, but it would I agree, it would be a dynamic matchup.
Man, yeah. I mean, you're right. You actually bring up an interesting point. I was talking to one of my friends and I said the same thing. Hey, why not them two fight? And what he said was, but don't you think Pavlovich, earned his shot now? Like, he's done everything he needs to. Why risk that position? So maybe so maybe Aspinall saw that as something that's already done. So let me go for the next guy.
Maybe there's the fight that they didn't end up doing, which is Blades Aspinall happens eventually.
Yeah, they could do that too. But now that Blades has lost to Pavlovich, it kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
as well, right?
Yeah.
But look, it all rides on what Jon Jones decides to do, right? If Jon Jones, let's just say hypothetically, Madison Square Garden, November, Jon Jones goes in and handles business with Stipe, and if he comes out victorious, it could two things he can do, right? One, he says, "Look, I'm done. I've beaten the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I've got no challenges left, so that's it. Thank you. I'm going off into the sunset undefeated." Or he goes, "You know what? I can keep doing this. Let's go," right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully.
Who's the next guy, right? We all love that, right? I mean, to see the greatest of all time keep fighting, that's just, amazing. But if he does that, then obviously we got a few guys lined up. We got Pavlovich, we got Aspinall, right? We also got another. He's not there yet, but he's also slowly making his way up there. It's Jailton Almeida. He beat Rosenstrike.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
What if there's an emphatic winner, a Volkov Bam Bam?
Oh, I think we touched on this in our preview.
Yeah.
Bam Bam's always in the mix because he's an exciting fighter. He gets some viral crazy knockout. He's up there again, right? And look, Bam Bam is strong, man. He can put anyone's lights out any day.
Yeah.
Right? So that'll be quite exciting too. But yeah, a lot of interesting propositions now in that heavyweight division. Great win for Aspinall.
Yeah, 100% echo your thoughts with Aspinall, and congrats to him. After a big layoff and an injury, to come back and win, you said round one, like emphatically, was the biggest surprise for me. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's won so convincingly, one could think, let's say an alternate timeline where he never got injured against Blades, he would already be in content. He would have already had a shot.
Man, that's
hypothetically.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, see, if he didn't injure that, and he was on a win streak, he was undefeated. Yeah, I mean, you can argue if he had beaten Blades, probably like he would have had one more matchup, and then probably, he would have versed Jones,
maybe
even before. Jones instead of Garn. You never know, right? So man, crazy stuff happening. Dana White seems quite interested in making that fight between the UK and the US.
Yeah.
And we know if Dana White wants something, he's known to throw the dollar bills, right? And hey, money talks, right?
Indeed.
Money talks, and hey, you might be able to put an incentive in there that might make Jon Jones go. Well, in Jon Jones' eyes, the greatest of all time, the GOAT, right? He's the other thing. Look, these guys are easy work for me. Well, if you're going to pay me that much to go do something that I feel is easy, you know what? Let me do it. You know what I mean? So, hey, look, fingers
like he's
crossed.
Taking damage.
Yeah, man.
He's finishing dudes.
Did you see the Garn fight? It was over before.
It was the most awkward submission too. It wasn't even a clean choke.
Nah, yeah, it was a crank, more like
it was a crank.
But man, I couldn't even top up my drink, and I come back and the fight's over. But hey, look. Great. I'm excited to see what's next for Aspinall. It seems he didn't take any damage, so he's probably going to be fighting again this year, which is great. We had obviously Molly McCann, the local fighter, for a main eventing. Obviously had an unfortunate loss, a submission. She kind of rolled into that armbar, which is quite odd. Look, you never know what's going on in that cage. It's easy for us to sit here and talk. But it seemed like, she obviously landed the takedown and then had her in a bit of a tight spot. But she didn't entirely have the arm, and then she kind of rolled into it, which I was like, oh, that's a bit nasty. And then, I was eventually tapped quite quickly. Not the finish or not the way she anticipated probably the fight to go. It's interesting also that the person she fought, Strolienko, she was 1-4 in her last fights as well. So
spoon fed, people saying.
It was a bit interesting. I don't know what happened. Like maybe look, she's spoken about the size difference in her division. Obviously, since the fight news has come out that she's dropping down to the strawweight division. But hey, that division's full of killers as well, man. Like, you think of the likes of, some of those fighters there. So, but hey.
Yeah, her clear weakness has been exposed, but I've seen some people comment about, not being so focused on going down, go see jiu-jitsu, go learn jiu-jitsu.
Look, it is clear that is an area where she's not 100%. But then again, she's been knocking people out, so she hasn't been needing it. But
that's true.
Hey, look, obviously this definitely brings up a lot of questions, and I think she's obviously understood that, and that's hence why I'd say she's making these changes in terms of divisions. Because I mean, you can argue the competition this time wasn't really high level. But she obviously still, didn't get the win, so that probably made her like, what, I need to reset some things. And look, she's still got the hype. She's still got. She's still got that. She's also that type of fighter who's like a couple of wins away from getting back to where she was. So
the hype train sort of slowed a little, but it could certainly pick back up. But it reminds me of another fighter, a fellow Aussie, Jack Della Maddalena, who people are sort of pondering, is the hype slowed a little because he looks more like a one-trick pony. And I want to get your thoughts. It goes to show we can't disrespect the gap in guys in a division and top 10 guys. Fighters don't realize until you get to a guy that level. There's levels to this.
I agree 100%, but I will shut down anyone saying that Jack Della Maddalena is not high level competition. The reason is, right, like I understand that last fight, obviously to the outside world, the picture that we see is, okay, he's an established fighter who's was ready to fight Sean Brady. He's now fighting an unranked guy debuting in 1 week's time into the UFC, and you're meant to run through these people. First of all, what we need to understand is, regardless of whether you're debuting or whatever it is, this other person is a trained professional. Right? They're coming trained to fight. There are you got to prepare stylistically and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, the core of it is a fight, right? Someone is coming to do damage, to try and come and outsmart you, do better than you, and you're trying to do the same to the other person. That's the gist of it, right? People also tend to forget Jack had to cut weight twice. Right? That is not an easy process, right? For anyone who thought that he lost, I don't think he did. I think he won. Right? That last round, he just kind of broke away from him in the last round. There was, I believe it was the first round that was a little bit questionable, but outside of that, I think Jack won all rounds. So he did that. And let's not forget, it is as much a short notice fight for Jack Della Maddalena as it is for the other person, because he's also prepared for someone entirely different, and then he prepared for another person who took a short notice fight, and that fell down. And look, man, kudos. Are we going to talk about the fact that how badass it is that he stayed in Vegas saying, you know what, I'll fight next week and give me whoever, and he put on a badass performance. I mean, look, he said it was a close fight. He agreed to anticipate, and he said something really great. This guy's coming and debuting to fight, and obviously he's got an opportunity in the UFC. He's going to come in all guns blazing, and that's what it did, and he was able to do that. And we saw the likes of Justin Gaethje and Kamaru Usman, because it seems like he's one of he trains with them in their gym. So like, that shows the caliber of training partners he has as well. So man, like, fair play to Jack Della Maddalena. I think he actually definitely won that fight, and I don't think by any means that is an indication that he's not. Hey, look, I'm not going to say too much. Mark my words. I think he's going to fight in Sydney. Oh, he'll put a stop to all this chatter. To be honest, he'll clean it up quite convincingly. So
yeah, those fists will end a lot of fights, and may not be needing some jiu-jitsu as much.
Oh man, I think he's quite well rounded. He just hasn't had the need to like show that yet. Like, I mean, look, that last fight again. I said there was so many factors in there. Right.
A 3-rounder is so unique, and that's why I love this sport again. I don't think we've touched on this, but you could be the hot favorite in a 3-round fight. If you lose the first round, there's so much pressure on you. Not only to end the fight, but to make sure you win the final 2. Absolutely. And then the other guy, the contender's spirited because he's like, man, I feel like I've won that round. And then, momentum's a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, think of like the Izzy Adesanya and Pereira 1 fight. If it was a 3-rounder, you know what I mean? Izzy Adesanya would have won that fight. You never know. Like, there's a lot of differences, and neither one is easy. You know what I mean? Yep. They all come with their own set of challenges. Yeah,
you can't respect your opponent too much, but at the same time, you got to come out and just be that killer and not respect them too much. Like we talked about it with Robert Whittaker and Drickus. I think there was a little bit of kind of cautiousness, intimidation.
Yeah,
and we didn't get to see the original Rob.
Yeah, but, the Reaper.
We'll talk more on the Sydney card coming up with some confirmations, but the rest of the London card. We had Josh Coolabale, the Australian, lose, unfortunately. Nathaniel Wood.
That was a good fight, man. I wanted to actually shut that fight out. Nathaniel Wood versus Andre Fili.
Yeah,
that was a good fight. It was a closely contested fight. I do believe the right person won. But, man, again, so it's 2 guys who always bring it. If you look at their fights, win, lose, or draw, they always come to fight, and that always is guaranteed entertainment, and that's what we got that as well. They're rightfully at a main event slot. Yeah. Sorry, a main card slot. Yeah. So man, look, decent card. Great main event, right? Great outcome for the heavyweight division. Having Tom Aspinall back where he was is a great thing.
Agreed.
More excitement. That now we see that the new guard sort of forming. Right, I know Cyril Gane's lost a couple of fights, but it was still for title fights. So you got that Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall, Charlton Almeida, Sergey Pavlovich. You can see sort of a new age of heavyweights forming. So I'm quite excited for where this all leads to.
Yeah, definitely for a fight night again. Well done to everyone. Obviously there was reports that the crowd wasn't as into it, and there was some slander about it, feeling like an Apex card. But, look, it was the main event, hyped things up a bit more. And there was confirmation that there's going to be 2 more UK cards next year.
Or next year.
Next year. Yeah. But they're looking to venture outside of London, which is also something good.
Something good, yeah. I think Ireland's been spoken about. But, hey, let's also not forget this was originally meant to be a pay-per-view. Yeah. With that welterweight title.
True.
So that obviously didn't pan out, so that's another thing. So they had to shuffle things around.
Actually, I'll be interested to know if the crowd, let's say you bought your tickets before when it was a pay-per-view, whether there would have been some kind of, or maybe tickets didn't go on sale.
No, tickets didn't go on sale. Like because Leon was quite good about it. He came in quite early and said, "I'm not going to be ready for that London card." So
and then they shuffled it.
Yeah, so they never formally announced the pay-per-view. It was just a rumor. Dana said like the plan is for him to defend it in London again. But
now transitioning, we will be dropping a full preview for the big pay-per-view this weekend, Utah, on July 29. It's going to be a banger with
Utah.
Poirier, Gaethje,
BMF, baddest mother effer.
My favorite fighter, Holland. One of my
favorite fighters. Trailblazer, Holland's in it. He's fighting Michael Chiesa. Man, that's a better card. You got Blachowicz and Pereira. Now that the light heavyweight title's vacant, I'm a bit surprised they didn't make it for the title. But because there's this crazy storyline waiting to happen, right? If Pereira gets that title, man, we're gonna get to see that third fight. Look, and not to brag, but I have this way of predicting certain things. And if you recall, I predicted that like their third fight will happen in the light heavyweight division.
You did.
I also said, hey, I feel like this was way before all this happened. Like, hey, I feel like Sydney will get Strickland at Adesanya. And look, you know, so yeah.
Just give us the lottery numbers and we'll be done with this.
I wish, man. I wish.
The MMA gods are smiling down.
Yeah.
But let's also, get back to the boxing.
Yeah, man,
The weekend, you've had a chance to watch the controversial fight between George Ferocious Kambosos, Maxi Hughes from Britain, Great Britain. Give us your thoughts on how you saw it and, the reactions to the reactions.
Yeah, look, we know this, right? Like, I mean, in boxing, even the commentators get really into it, right? And sometimes we could sort of be swayed by the crowd. Usually, if you have a pop, and this is not just in boxing, but also in MMA, like, you know, you got the most popular fighter fighting or an hometown hero fighting, and obviously the crowd's going to be more vocal towards them. However, having said that, I did rewatch it. Look, I'll start by saying I wouldn't use the word robbery. It was a close fight, right? I do think maybe could it have been called a draw? I don't know, right? The way, I mean, look, this is just me sort of putting my observation forward. I did think Kambosos, and I love Kambosos, man. Like, I mean, he's obviously, you know, from Australia, you know, was a unified champ. More than anything, what I like about him is his fighting style. Again, like we spoke about before, in MMA, he's one of those guys in boxing who, like, win, lose, or draw, he comes to fight and he puts his heart out. You know, even those losses to Haney, you didn't see him shy away from anything. All 12 rounds, you know, he kept walking forward and even, you know, walked through those punches and tried to still, you know, get a win with a Lopez win and all those kind of things. I thought he threw a lot, like, as in he attempted a lot of shots. Maxi Hughes obviously definitely threw a lot less than Kambosos, but I don't know, for me, I felt like Maxi Hughes was landing a lot more effectively. Thought he was landing with a lot more power as well. There were definitely some areas where he had Kambosos in trouble. There were rounds that Kambosos did really well too. But yeah, look, I wouldn't call it a robbery, right? It's just along the lines of the Haney Lomachenko fight, right? But maybe the Haney Lomachenko was a lot more closer than this, right?
Would you say the score, well, one particular judging, 117, 111, was robbery in a way?
That definitely, I think everyone's in agreement. I'm pretty sure maybe even George Kambosos would say the same thing. Say that scorecard was outrageous. Like,
he did actually, in a tweet, he backed himself up, but he actually referenced the one. He said, "Oh, maybe not the 117, 111."
Because
even he felt,
because that was atrocious, man. We sometimes find these judges in boxing, and sometimes we think all these judges, man, even the MMA judges, I don't know what's going on. Like, there's no accountability, to be honest, right? But yeah, definitely a lot closer than what the scorecard suggested. I think one judge added a draw. So 1 draw and 2 for Kambosos.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate your thoughts on it, and after having seen it and hearing your perspective, mine is very similar. Watching it again, I feel like the first thing I want to notice and point out is the commentary. You know, you made a great point. If you're a boxing fan, you know, and a lot of you probably do this already, I've been hearing, but you listen with the commentary off. You know, it can be pretty biased, and especially when they're showing you the scores. Having said that, they were very pro Hughes, which, you know, kind of I was following along with, and it was a very
Where did it happen?
Pro Hughes fight.
Where did the fight take place? Do you know?
It took place in Oklahoma City.
Oh, so neutral venue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty neutral venue.
Yeah. Okay.
The US, Oklahoma City, not a huge city, but having said that, it was good observations to listen with the sound off. I felt they were a little bit too pro Maxi Hughes. Like, Kambosos definitely had his moments. I remember feeling that live after the headbutt, which opened the gash of Hughes. Kambosos definitely won the next couple of rounds. But then he slowed down, and then Hughes sort of got back into it. And I think it was kind of a draw after that. But from rounds 1 to 6, kind of, I felt Hughes was quite clear. He was landing cleaner. The body shots, he hurt Kambosos a lot more. And I think, and a lot of boxing fans have been making this point, when you get a fight where it's not clear, that it's kind of a scrap, it's an ugly style, and you're not cleanly and very emphatically winning, that opens it up for the judges to maybe make some mistakes. And that, you either want to end the fight or you want to do like a Floyd Mayweather. You want to be really clean, precise, land your punches, and make it obvious. So do you see how, like, being a kind of the southpaw style versus Kambosos being so awkward, that kind of led to it? And it's like, look, if Hughes wants not to happen again, he's also got to be kind of more cleaner. Because what did you think of the elbows? It was sloppy. It was a couple of flush elbows on the face and stuff.
It was a dog fight, right? Like it wasn't those clean, boxing fights that we see, like the Haney, Lomachenko, or those Mayweather ones that you just referenced. But having said that, this is a style these guys fight in. You get what I mean? Like, I understand where the fans are coming from, but I don't know if it's fair for us to expect the fighters to change up how they fight to get a better score from the judges. I think it should be the judges' responsibility to be educated enough and understand how the game works, right? And to be able to try and score it as accurately as possible. I do, and look, I'm not fully educated in this area, but I do believe that the judges are completely removed from the arena, believe in a soundproof room, and they have their own screens to observe when they are scoring. So
really?
Or either that, like, I think either that, or they've got like earphones or headphones to drown out the crowd, and then they have their own screens that they concentrate on.
That's interesting.
So it says, I could be wrong, just like I said, like, that's just my understanding. And hey, with that in mind, like I said, like, nonetheless, I don't think if the onus should be on the fighter to say, like, he still put up a good fight, like, that's his style. He shouldn't be the one needing to change it up just so the judges can, made it easier for the judges to score. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're the ones who are putting their lives on the line and their livelihoods on the lines, and going out there to entertain us, and obviously to sort of fight.
We have a point I'll make to you, DJ, is with the discrepancy of the score. What say if the judge that gave it 115, 113 gave it to Hughes, but Kambosos still would have won because of the crazy 117, 111. So I don't know how that judge saw that much of a discrepancy. That would have killed it, even if the third judge, it was a split decision. So we've got to correct, it's just corruption.
The system needs to be
massive error or corruption on that side of things. Like, how did he score it so differently?
Correct. I think it baffles. Like,
they should run that back. What would you want to see? Would you want to see Kambosos move on, or knowing that Hughes has all this following, it could be a huge second fight? Because I feel for Hughes in a way. Like, he at minimum he drew it.
He lost his championship.
And now he's going to be in the wilderness, but potentially,
I mean, look, for that sake, like, let's maybe run a rematch just to get a clear outcome and avoid all this doubt. But other than that, man, I don't know. Like, I'm not too excited to see them fight again. Like, I mean, I feel like there's a lot more bigger things happening in that division. With Shakur Stevenson stay. I know Shakur was in there. Like, obviously he was there for another one of his friends who was fighting, but they had like sort of an interaction inside along the side of the ring. But I don't think he intends to fight Kambosos. I also think, like, it'll be a big challenge for Kambosos, Shakur Stevenson. That is because Shakur Stevenson in the same league as Devin Haney and all that. So. Yeah, but it does open up the question, like, what is next for Kambosos, right? Like, I mean, yes, he got the win. It was a very gnarly fight. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it. Like, either, I think the most common decision would be to do the rematch, clear out all doubt, win, right? And then maybe go on to the next step. I'm sure Maxi Hughes will be up for it too. So
get his respect. Get more respect back. I could also, and I would support a Loma, like just feed him to Loma. Maybe
tough fight.
Who's coming off and also a very close kind of fight where people thought he could have won. So both of them and just eliminate. But yeah, I feel for Hughes, because he boxed a great fight. But, to both fighters' detriment, I want to mention this, and they both don't have knockout power.
Yeah.
And even if they ran it back, both fighters knowing that they could get screwed by the judges, I don't see either fighter knocking the other one out again. And that's ultimately why where you are. If you don't have that knockout power.
Yeah. But then again, you can argue Haney doesn't have any knockout power, but obviously his style and his technicality sort of plays to his strength. Yeah. But yeah, look, I still don't think that those should play a factor in how the judges, that shouldn't be an excuse for the judge to get it wrong. Do you get what I mean? I think that's what I feel. But hey, look, you're right though. Obviously, they are in the lighter division too. So mostly you don't see most of these guys have it's too much knockout power. But obviously you got the outliers like Gervonta Davis who can just shut your lights out.
Yeah.
Kambosos has been calling Gervonta Davis, but I don't know, man. Kambosos does get it a lot, and then if Davis connects.
Yeah, I do want to point out though, to Kambosos' credit, I felt he was the aggressor.
Yeah, no, he was.
He was, and ultimately this could have bit Hughes on the behind, but he was trying to clinch too much. He was grabbing the arm. I don't know if he was running out of gas.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what could have really swayed that judge. Towards the end, they could have just been like, hey, you know what? One guy's trying to end the fight or cause harm. The other guy's trying to hold on to his first 5 rounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to start scoring it to the other one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, could be. Yeah. Interesting though. But look, this does create excitement. Obviously, unfortunate for Hughes. And again, Kambosos didn't just, run around and get a win. He did fight hard for it. Like you said, he kept pressing forward. He took a lot of damage too. You know what I mean? Let's see. I feel like maybe you're right. Maybe you're spot on. Maybe we'll see that rematch again, or we might, see some other fights, and they might rematch eventually. But I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for the both of them.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think if Kambosos runs it back with Teofimo Lopez if he's up for it?
That's my fight. Yeah. That I would want first, and then Loma second, and then a Hughes rematch. But I feel like the Hughes rematch is the right thing.
Yeah.
Maybe even if he agrees to do it in the UK or in Australia, that could be a box office thing. Get Kambosos back here again.
Yeah.
To try to defend it. That could be what gets Hughes to do it again, or what gets him to give Hughes a shot again if he can do it in Australia.
Yeah.
But I feel like you've got to make a fight for Loma still. Teofimo's got to fight someone. So I won't be surprised if it's on to the next for Kambosos,
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
And just to steal it and run. But yeah, we'll continue to talk about it as, fights get finalized. Yeah. We'll break down an episode with Spence Crawford.
Big one, man.
Coming up. Let's hope we're not talking about decisions.
Absolutely not. It'll be such a shame. Can you imagine? Two of the best right now getting into that ring. And imagine if they get the decision wrong. Oh, I don't know. We'll talk more about it in our preview show, but I feel like I'm not anticipating a knockout from either side.
Mm-hmm.
I am expecting it to go the distance.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a lot more of a technical battle. But they're very evenly matched, so there's going to be a close fight.
Yeah, it comes down, and I mentioned it with the UFC, it comes down to when two great fighters fight.
Yeah.
It's a style of do both not want to make a mistake, or do both want to have that conviction to end it? It's you could go either way. You respect the other opponent so much, or they're so good that you sometimes get a stalemate.
But you can also argue that this is that level of skill set. They're both equally skilled. Yeah. I'm pretty sure all fighters want to end it soon and go home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
But good example, I always refer to this fight when we talk about two high-level fighters, the Walk Islam fight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were both so good, and their fight IQ was right up there. It's just they were trying to outsmart each other, but they just didn't get the opportunity to. Because that's the thing, you got your equal on the other side. You know what I mean?
True.
So that could be the reason why they can't. Most of the time, when you find the best fighting the best, you do see it go the distance.
Yeah.
Purely because of that the skill set being similar, the IQ being similar, and all these kind of things. So
yeah. The weight, all of that. Also, the fact is, I think it's so important to start well, because if you start passive, you lose the first 3-4 rounds like Kambosos, and then people feel you're theoretically behind.
Yeah.
If Kambosos came out real aggressive and just took rounds 1-4 or 1-3, it kind of been like way more convincing for Kambosos. But he just didn't start out too aggressive.
Well, another thing that always confuses me, it didn't happen in this fight, but I've heard this in boxing a lot when fighters come and say, you know what? I thought I was winning, so I took some rounds off. I never understood that. Like it's especially understanding and knowing the controversy with judging all the time. Just like say, I took a round off. It's just probably not the right thing to say.
Cover up. Yeah. They're probably just hoping it's 9-9, like it's just a draw round.
Yeah.
And but it's up to their coach, their trainers, to say, like to give them the perspective of where the fight's going.
Yeah.
Because you're in a fist fight, head to head, toe to toe.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know what, all you do is feel like you've been clipped a few times. You feel like you've clipped him. Beats any fighter. It's up to the trainers to say, no, man, go for it.
Yeah.
I think they were shouting at Kambosos, if I remember.
Yeah, to go for it.
They were towards the end.
Yeah.
They were like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Bad.
Yeah, it's been a great opportunity to chop this thing up again in depth. Please give us your thoughts in the comments section. We love to hear from you, about this topic, about the UFC, anything coming up.
Hey, if we actually like your comment, and if you think we're making a solid point, we might actually get you on the episode to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Tell us what you think. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And give us a like, a subscribe, and a shout out to the new subscribers with us. And look out for our episodes later in the week with the Spence Crawford and the big UFC Utah. This one's a wrap.
That's it.
Peace.